Hey there, welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you a number of ways to parse a CSV file. We're going to start off with sort of the most rudimentary, basic way to do it, and then we're going to end with the most sophisticated, but also arguably the simplest way to do it. So I think there's 4 different versions that I'm going to show you, or like 3 and then one with like a slight variance. And so I hope this is helpful for anybody trying to parse a CSV file using Python. So I've already preloaded my editor, which is PyCharm, with the dependencies we're going to need for this. And I've also already downloaded a CSV file, population by country from 1980 to 2010 in the millions. So I'm going to show you that file to start with. So this is what the CSV file looks like if it were imported into an Excel. So here you can see across the top header rows you have the years all the way to 2010, and then you can see along the left side here we have the countries. So that's the data we're going to be parsing. So to get started, we're going to copy the file name, because the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to open this file. So with open file name as file. If you're not familiar with, in this case, what it does for open is it makes sure that when you're done using open, it closes the file handle, because if it didn't do that, you would end up with a memory leak. So if you were to just type open like this and then forget to close that, you would have a memory leak. Otherwise, you would have to manually close it yourself, which a lot of people do with finally after this is done. So as opposed to all that ugliness, you can just use with, and it will cleanly close the file handle when you're done with it, or file object. So now that you have the file handle, you can sort of say for line in file, loop over that, columns equals line dot split. And here we're specifying the delimiter that we want to split the lines on. So what this will do is for every comma that it sees in the line, it will load that into columns, which turns it into a list. It returns a list. So after we have that, we can sort of individually address the columns. But before I do that, I'll just print it out to show you what's going on here. So there you go. So you can see you're getting a printout of lists, and the first thing in the list is the country name, Vietnam, and then you have the millions per year. So this would be 1980, this would be 1981, so on and so forth. So what I want to do is I really only care about the United States because I'm self-centered. And so if columns 0 is equal to, got to use a double equals for that because we're not assigning a value, we're comparing a value, the United States, right? So if it's equal to the United States, we're just going to print out that column. So there you go, there's all the data for the United States. And then I really only want to see the change between like the first year and the last year, which is 1980 and 2010. So what is the length of columns, or this list? So it says it has 32, which is 0 through 31 columns. So what we're going to want to do is say, okay, print out the name of the column, print out the first column, because that should be 1980, and then finally print out, what is it, 31. So that should have the right data. There we go. So this is what we want. So what we're saying is the United States had 227 million people in 1980 and 310 million people in 2010. And let's just verify our answers. So on here, I'm going to look for the United States. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's Kingdom. Oh, that was Arab. Hold on. There we go. United States. So there you go. You can see 1980 here. I'll bold it. Had 227 million. And then if I scroll all the way over on this line, I should see 310. Perfect. So we're getting the right data. That's good. Now I'm going to show you this same thing using a different method. So the next method we're going to use is to use the actual CSV package. So we're going to import CSV, and I'm going to delete this stuff. And now what I got to do is I have to load from the CSV file the CSV reader. So I'm going to say CSV reader equals CSV.reader, the file that we're reading, and then I have to specify the delimiter, which is comma. Okay, and now I'm going to say line count equals 0 for a row in CSV reader if the line count is equal to 0, print. We're going to use string format in here. And we're going to do a join inside of this format string, which is super interesting. This will join together everything in the list so that it will print all the headers nicely. And then else, we're going to, again, do a format string. We're going to put a tab in there just for formatting's sake, so we know it's not a header. And the same join. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we need to increment our line count. Another better way to do this is using enumerate over a list, but for expressiveness, I wrote it this way. Okay. Oops. So let's see what this does. Awesome. So we pretty much got all of our data there. And again, if we wanted to, we could just parse this to only show us the United States. But we'll skip that step for now because I want to go right into showing you how to do this, but slightly different, by loading the data into a dictionary. Because once we have the data in a dictionary, we can do more with it. So dictionary reader. Once that's done, what am I doing here? Got the headers. I gotta say, okay. So I gotta say if row, which doesn't have a header name, so that's why it's empty, is equal to the United States, print it out, but I actually don't want to print out all values. I want to print out, just like we did before. Oh, I need so I want to print out that guy, and which again gives me the country name, and then I'm doing 1980, the values for that, and finally, last one, 2010. Okay, the rest of this stays the same. I'm going to get rid of this line because it's pointless, and I'm going to print it. Awesome. So United States, 227,310,000, and then of course the headers are being printed out thanks to this if condition. You'll see my terminal highlighted this. This is going to tell me to use enumerate. So just to show you that, I'm going to hit replace. Boom. Enumerate. By the way, that's a super cool package in my IDE. It's called Sorcery. So it helps you refactor on the go, which is really nice. So you can see it changed it here to use enumerate, which automatically gives you the index count on a list. And then you can just do that with it. Just to show you that that still works. This, oh, it removed my interpreter. So put the interpreter back. Okay, now it'll run. It's the same. There you go. Whoops. So those are the two examples using the CSV package. The last example, which is again arguably the best example, is to use pandas. But pandas is a sort of data science library for data structures, or at least that's what it's most commonly used for. And you consider it a little bit more advanced to use it, and also it's not part of the standard library, so you're going to have to install it. But if it were me, and I use this package to do my CSV stuff just because typically when you're reading a data set, you're going to want to manipulate it in a number of ways, and pandas is a really optimal way to do that because it gives you matrices and different things to sort of address your data. To do this, what we want to do is we already have pandas imported, and then what we want to do is I'm just going to erase all this actually. It's easier to just start fresh. It's really simple. It's like one line. So it's the data frame is what df stands for. That's just what we're naming our variable. And then we're saying PD for the pandas library that we imported. And we say read CSV. And then we need the name. Oh, cool. It knew what I was going to do. The name of the CSV file. And that's that. That's what pulls that out. Next, I'm going to do for... we basically just need the count here, so for line count, I'm gonna do underscore to basically signal that I don't care about the actual row value of the data frame, or like what I'm enumerating on, because what I really care about is the count. You'll see here in a sec. So then I'm gonna say if data frame unnamed 0. Now this is how you deal with an unnamed header column in pandas, because if it gets unnamed, it just gives it a unnamed and then an increment number. And I have to say line count so I get the right element number that we're on. Otherwise, it's always going to be the whole list of values going down. So maybe I should just like show what I'm trying to say. So if I just print, what would be the best way to show this? I think if I just print if I just print what the data frame is here, you'll see what I mean, I think. So here you should, what? Enumerate is not defined because I can't spell. Okay. So there you go. It just prints every single value all the way down. So like here on unnamed, you just get every single country, right? Well, and it's doing it over and over again, by the way, because I'm looping. But like you don't want every single value. You want to treat each individual value. So the way you do that is you say, okay, if data frame, oopsie, hate when I do that, unnamed 0, line count. So I'm just going to I was going to just print this out for you guys. I forgot I put this if here. So I just want to show you what this does so you kind of get a feel for it as we go. Boom. So now you're just getting all the countries all the way down the list, right? And so now I can just individually manipulate each one of these columns by doing this. So if this is equal to, what am I going to do? United States. You got it. So then I'm going to say print data frame unnamed 0. And then I have to decide what else I want, or wait, line count. Then I have to decide what else I want. Data frame 1980, same thing with line count. So we get the specific row that we're on. And then finally, last but not least, 2010, line count. Okay, and that is that. So this will do the same thing you've been seeing all along. There's the data for the United States, 227 million in 1980 and 310 million in 2010. So that is the 4 ways that you can read a CSV file. Again, the pandas way is really my preferred method. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and if there's anything else you guys want me to cover, please let me know. Thanks.